Welcome to Borderline Relevant, an Armour 3 podcast from Borderline Tactical. I'm Esh, and with me today are Paz.
Hey.
Fanny.
Hello.
And today's guest, Hopstar.
Hello.
So today's episode is brought to you by a cup of Jardin Bleu tea, which is far too poncy sounding, but a lovely cuppa nonetheless.
And I got my periodic table mug.
Yeah, I've just got a normal glass of water in it.
And Spanny?
And we should we have, what am I trying to say? Like catchphrases now? Hello, I'm Ash, I've got a cup of tea.
Oh, quite possibly.
Drink a bottle of NyQuil and feel myself going to work. That's my catchphrase, boom, let's go.
Okay. So,
Hopstar, what do you do here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that was quick. So, where I came from and what I do here. I'm a jack of all trades, although not very good at many. I found the Armour group thanks to DayZ. Yeah, that whole debacle. I came into Armour, or I played Operation Flashpoint as a kid, way back in the day. Loved it. But
Respect.
internet was horrible, so the online thing just never happened. Then life happened, and then I came back into gaming a little while ago, and then the DayZ thing blew up, and everyone's like, "Oh, play DayZ." So I started playing. I'm like, "This is kind of cool, but I want more team-oriented stuff." And then I found the domination maps on Armour. I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is really cool." And this was right when Armour 3 was just about to release, so I got Armour 3, and then literally went to one of those Armour 3 group sites where it has like all the different groups that are saying, "Come join us, do our thing." And by chance, I stumbled upon ATR, I think at the time, was it?
Sounds right.
Yep.
Yeah, stumbled upon ATR, and then from there, I just sort of melded into the group. Main sort of roles I play in tax and around the places. I've sort of ended up as a squad lead in game, and then I dabble a little bit in mission making when I can get out of work. That's me.
No, we talked about old things.
Mm-hmm.
You were here before I rocked up. What can you tell us about BTAC or ATR as it was back then? What can you tell us about that? Prehistoric time in 2012.
BS. Before Spanny.
Yeah, it was different. Again, because I was new to the community as well, it was sort of a foreign experience for me. I've had a little bit of experience with EVE Online and those bigger corporate-based groups where it's very structured. You are a pawn in the group. If you screw up, you're out, sort of thing. So I was used to those ones, but this was so much more relaxed. Although there was, I don't want to downput anything, but there was a lot of tension because it was a newer group. And I think people were just trying to find their place in terms of where they like to sit within the hierarchy, even though there isn't a hierarchy. That sort of unspoken, the guys who end up sort of running things, the guys who end up just doing their own thing, sort of thing. So there was a little bit of turbulence, and I think only probably in the last 18 months or so, I've really felt that the group has really fallen into a nice groove in terms of everyone's happy, everyone gets along. There's none of this blowing up, because were you around, Spenny, when we were with the PlanetSide guys?
I think I might have joined a month or a few weeks just after you joined, because when I joined, I think Sudo, who used to run ATR, said,
"Yeah,
you were also a new guy," so I just thought, same time window. That was pretty soon after you, relatively. So I was there for the whole ride.
Yeah,
I
remember probably understand where I'm coming from.
Described it.
Yeah, I think I've been in this for the longest, probably. I think I outstayed Hopstar.
I'm the youngest.
And yeah, I think Hopstar's assessment is pretty accurate. And the feel now from the feel then is dramatically different and much better.
Yeah. I remember when I joined from the PlanetSide guys, we weren't running attack. Like, I don't know, it was weird. We were playing Armour, but we weren't playing Armour.
Yeah,
there was just not enough interest to do anything.
There was a big sort of gap there for a while.
That was before BTAC became
settled,
officiated as we are now. So I think we had people at the time taking responsibilities for the ego of it and not really fulfilling on those responsibilities.
Yeah.
And then we had people like Bordy, myself, and All Star, if you remember him, stepping in to get things going again. I think that kind of snowballed into this.
Yeah, I think that's when things started to fall into place for us as a BTEC group, is when you three sort of picked up and ran with it and just said, this is what we're doing. And then the group sort of followed along and we found our happy place.
Yeah, as long as the server keeps running, we're happy.
Yeah.
Have server, will smile. Yes.
That's like a lot of the armor groups. I was looking at the ones on Reddit where there was a big proposition to say like merging groups would be a great idea. And then a lot of people saying that merging groups is a really bad idea because it just comes down to whoever owns the box just absorbs the other group. And that really big communities that are settled like today wouldn't stand a chance because there's so many small armor groups instead of nice big strong groups like there are in other games.
Yeah. Well, even when we were with PlanetSide, you could feel that tension. There was a lot of standoffishness between the armor group and the PlanetSide group because they both wanted to be their own independent groups, but being under the same banner, they're sort of like, yeah.
Well, it's a bit weird too because even though we're playing armor and they were playing PlanetSide, even though I came from PlanetSide, you're part of like a group of gamers, which means you're both part of the group, but you're both playing separate games. So it seems a bit weird. And nobody kind of understands the logistical part of it, but I'll leave that for the guys upstairs. As long as the box runs and you can play the game, you're pretty much happy.
I think the reason we have so many different smaller groups is that people want to play differently, maybe, and not every group can fulfill that.
We've got the Minecraft guys, we've got the armor guys, and then there's just a bit of other stuff floating around, like Ark Survival's picked up quite a bit. Reign of Kings was going before that.
I was just referring to armor as a whole. If you go into our Finder unit or the Steam clan communities advertising thing, look for us there. Haha. There are actually a lot of different groups offering seemingly similar things, but I can guarantee you once you hop in the TeamSpeak and say hello, I think everyone differs very differently. Like even groups that we're very close to in Australia, like ACOP, they are very relaxed when it comes to organisation, but when they actually play the game, they take things, I think, more seriously than we might. It's a good bit of contrast.
We're about on par.
I suppose, but I mean, they put...
But they do have a different focus, you're right.
Yeah.
The way that they focus on various bits. It's probably the same across the board on average, but...
They're more accustomed to TVT.
Yeah, their playstyle is almost pure TVT.
So they're used to versing players, whereas we're used to versing AI.
God, it's been 10 minutes, we haven't got onto the topic yet.
Well, we might as well give an idea of what's going to go on. So, we're going to start with a little bit of a sort of in-house section of TAC recap. Go over what we had lined up on Saturday's Big TAC. And then the main topic for chatter today is our, as we call it, the Armor Sutra. That's without a K. And it's basically our tactics, trainings and procedures section. And we'll have a little chat about why we chose to start it up, what its vision was, and how it's sort of evolved into its present state, and maybe what its future is. And then we'll wrap everything up with our usual sort of BTAC news and kind of things. So, TAC was titled what, gentlemen?
Oh, what was the name of it?
Operation Battle Eye kicked because of high ping, and that was an in-joke because if you watch Escher's and Paz's videos from the week before, me as the pilot kept dropping in and out.
And let's be honest, pilots are not the best people to be dropping in and out.
Watch the videos.
Yeah,
I'll stand by that, but
pop
that
the
was just
video
a play on that.
descriptions.
Yeah,
links
it'll be in the description.
But hi, I'm Spanny. I made the mission. It was a defensive mission. If you've ever seen the documentary OP Restropo, it was very much themed on that. Where a group of soldiers defend an outpost in a deserty valley area. And we even, this might be a bit grim, but it's called, in the documentary, it's called OP Restropo because that was, I think, the first casualty they had. So I had the same idea. Why don't the first person who dies, we name the outpost after them? And
And
fortunately,
reveal who.
unfortunately, it was Sneaky Melon who died, our newest member. He took a 30mm AP shell from a Gorgon to the face. So we then christened it Outpost Sneaky Melon.
Although
And I think it went really well.
Yeah, it did
was
go
excellent
really well.
from a mission making perspective.
From a player's perspective, it was awesome.
Hop, you were squad lead, so you do your thing.
Yeah.
We were expecting, or I was expecting us to die in a fiery ball of hell really, really quickly. Quick note: Spanny has a sadistic side.
That's not true. I'm very loving.
No, Spanny, you're an evil bastard.
I'm a hard lover.
But the mission went really well. We were flown in via chopper to the outpost. Then the chopper went back logistically and picked up some supplies for us. In that time, obviously the enemies had spotted us and started moving in. We had 2 fire teams and a mat team at our disposal. So fire team north, fire team south, and mat team in between, depending on where something was coming from.
Yeah.
Major call it.
You go.
Sorry. I remember before Sneaky Melon went down with a 30mm to the face, which would have been really painful. We almost lost the entirety of Alpha 2 to GL fire.
Yeah.
The entire team went unconscious, and I had to pull over a bit of Alpha to support that. And then
just on that GL, there was a moment where that was happening. It might have been the second round of that going on. It might have been only 10 meters behind me, but I was just thinking that's not my problem. I don't want to deal with it.
That was my problem because I was FTL for Alpha 2, and if you were in the room with me, you'd have realised I was just opening my mouth to say, I think we might be a bit close here, guys. And that's when the first rounds hit.
I was with the mat team. I was leading that one. I was sitting with Aphex against the barrier, and we just had GL pounding the barrier. And every now and then we'd hear an explosion go off, and someone shout profanity and crap like that. But we had a chopper go down as well, and that one went alright. Pope managed to auto-rotate it down. Me and Aphex being the mat team, not much to do. Drove out there, picked him up.
He didn't actually auto-rotate, he ran out of fuel.
Oh yeah, they shot the fuel tank, that's what it was.
Yeah, small
it's pretty much the same thing mechanically, I think.
Yeah.
In armor.
We
Talking
managed to pick him up. We got MVP.
Choppers.
Mat team got MVP. I'm part of Mat team.
I don't know if that was being sarcastic.
No, we got MVP.
Because if you watch the video, it seems like it didn't do a whole lot.
We
saved
you guys' lives.
They did
if you were there, yeah.
They did sweet jack all, but they were there in the times they needed them.
Link will be in the description of Mat team doing the best job it could possibly done.
Near the end of the mission, I was thinking I need to talk to command, which in our missions, whoever made the mission has sort of this command role where they have obviously the knowledge of what's going to happen. So I'll go over to Spanny and go, do we have any more reinforcements? Is there an extract or anything? And when he went to speak, it was too loud, so I didn't hear him, but I didn't ask again because I didn't want to sound like I was needy. So I'm like, crap, I have no idea what's going to happen, how long we have to wait for this to finish or
so
anything.
you just doomed like 14 people.
Yeah, I'm like, how are we ever going to get out of this? So that mission went on a little bit longer, and then I copped GL to the face and died and watched the rest of the mission out, which was quite interesting, especially the retreat, which I'll let someone else talk because they were on the ground.
I was in the chopper.
I think it was actually quite a good selection of people for talking about this one, because Spanny, you were FTL.
I was
for
taking
Alpha
1, yeah.
I had Alpha 2.
I was Matt, and Hopster was the SL. So we got all the all the leads.
Yeah.
The way it went down, once Hopstar went down, I figured, well, we still got Logi in the air, we might as well just get out. Because I think there was a moment where we couldn't tell the dead from the unconscious, when I had to double check, hey, he's still alive. I think it might have been Rick, who was still alive, and we did that a couple of times. And then we all fell down into one net, which is really bad if things go down that far. And call for extraction. And then an armored vehicle shot Raven out of his gunner seat. So I didn't know he was dead or something, so I think we landed.
No, we knew he was dead. I was sitting down looking at his body.
Yeah, so we landed to just check how dead he was. And then the chopper was getting engaged. And he, of course, had to leave. So why not just have everyone die? But
we were amused by that.
anyway,
Dead
yeah.
watching.
So,
Oh, it was.
Ursh's got action video, and I've got hilarity video.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
So-
watching that from the dead perspective, with our missions, we have basically a seagull
Spectator.
view. One spectator. Once you die, you can actually spectate. You can talk with other dead people, but you
that's a
can't hear what's
three-frame
going on. Yeah,
Yeah, that does that for us.
that's really fucking good. But
I think at the end there, we christened it RV Raven because I think that was Raven who died.
yeah,
The chopper. So we opted for a convoy rescue. By the time we got there,
15-minute convoy. I
There
went
was-
and did whatever around the house because the chopper had to follow the convoy.
there was 3.5 people alive at that point. I think I was unconscious, Rick was unconscious, and it was Aphex and Johnny.
Yeah, and then after we'd saved you guys,
Yeah.
Hop decided to drive the convoy back with no tires.
no, that wasn't me. Someone ran into a
There was a rock wall incident.
rock wall.
Anyway, to stop that from happening, I gunned the shit out of the tires.
Yeah, I was going to limp it back, but everyone's
And,
like,
and
no.
there's a really good moment where Hop just gets very angry, but that's in the video, so you're gonna have to watch it.
And that was Tack.
One thing to note when they were extracting from the mission, it actually looks like the chopper does flips onto its rotor upside down.
Oh,
And
yeah.
There's about 4 of us going, oh god, this thing's just going to flip and explode and everyone's dead. But it makes it out. I have to ask though, why did Pope power down when he was landed? I figured they'd obviously been damaged and lost fuel or something, but when he took off
I
again, I'm
think-
like,
Because I just picked up control of survivors. I just said, if we're going to be stopped, let's, pile out and make sure we're going to be safe.
yeah, I suppose.
Of course, but me as the mission maker, I knew, no, we're not going to be safe. Things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
What I
That's
love
where all the
about
fun
that,
lives.
There's
So I
little
thought, you know what, let's just get them ready for things to go wrong.
what I really like is, as Hop says, this chopper pitches over and we're all convinced. We've just seen someone get nailed, certainly, and
Go-
we're thinking it's going down. We're all going, that's it, and then suddenly Pope pulls it out and he levels off, and you hear Hopstar going almost begrudgingly, "Yeah, I'll give it to Pope. He's an alright pilot."
And Hop and Pope have a very big rivalry, so that's very big of Hopstar to see.
That's big.
Go
That's
on
big.
what Spanny said, where you're like kind of, when you make a mission, you get to be like the devil in the ear, where you're kind of like, hey, go check out that over there, because you know exactly like where all the triggers are placed
Yeah.
and exactly
You know
what's
what,
going to go wrong.
let's send that little march on a bit further, why don't we? You know
Yeah.
what, let's just hang tight for about, how long does it take for a section to walk over? However long that is.
Just a bit more further, guys. Just through that doorway.
Well, I think it was as you've all sort of said, it was a very enjoyable mission for everybody, no matter when they died or who they died saving, or trying to save in my case. I certainly had a great team on the west and north in Alpha 2, and I think I had the MMG team as well of Stills and Rick, who were doing great things there in placements. I had Iceman and Ben and Maxi.
Sure, MMG, but did we mention the Matt?
I haven't got there yet. I mean, despite all of them, we
the
ended up having a
MVP.
little vote about who was MVP for the TAC, and yes, the Matt team won it.
Oh, my Matt
Both of
team.
them.
Me and
Yep.
FX.
On Apex.
They
We're going to win it
did
next week as well.
quite excellent work. Well done, sirs.
You.
Well, why don't we move on to the actually
topic.
planned topic?
Oh,
But,
yeah.
and really, it's nothing to do with them as a quality of person, because really what it came down to was Spanny's training from the Armor Sutra. I think that's
Yes.
really what we should have given the award to.
Damn. Because the Thursday before we had we had Matt training actually.
Yeah,
We
Matt
did have
training.
Matt training with the addition of Task Force 47, which you'll remember if you listen to the old podcast we told people to get.
There's a video
So,
on it. I'll
and
put
if-
it in the description.
It's almost
If
like we know
you
what
are
we're doing.
listening and you aren't part of BTEC, I highly recommend getting Task Force 47 because
Just
that
about.
is Yeah,
just
Angel's
about
tits, how
everything
good.
we talk about, I've probably got a video on. It's
Yeah,
really
he would.
short. Yeah, I've got a Task Force 47 video, and the sound is amazing when those things go off.
Those things flit welling over your head at high
Link in
speed.
the description. Click now, beat the rush.
Yeah.
It won't be enough for everyone. Go now.
So,
But
so I think of all the people to introduce the Armor Sutra, I think really it has to be Spanny as
He came
Commander
up
in
with it.
Chief of training and TTP writing and running and all the rest of
He
it.
owns the Google Drive.
Yep.
Yep.
It's his Google
His
Drive
Google
with
Drive,
everything
yeah.
stored.
You get to talk
Um,
about it.
So Spanny, go for it. Tell
Alright,
us.
TTP. Well, I'm gonna start with, so the reason I decided to incept the TTP was, I think, we might be ripping on Pope a while here, but yeah, I think Pope might have been the tipping point. But there were a lot of others before him. It was an occasion where he wanted to use some very big guns. It might have been some AA
Is this
guns.
the Shilka?
This is not the Shilka. This is the it's
I
a
thought it was the
Tiger. It's the one where we had the
Tigris.
air corridor we had to defend.
Ah.
And he says, "How do I use the airburst thing? How do I use the airburst shells?" And I kind of facepalmed there at that moment because I was hoping he'd at least know how to use the thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it. I was before this. I was initially against training, but I figured, you know what if we make it fun? It'll be okay.
And it's like a player that's been with us for a while too.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
we've had a bad habit recently of people who have just freshly installed their mods. Alright, for some reason they get slotted into medic. They pick medic themselves. and then it
Don't tell
turns
me
into,
about
like,
that.
You know, half an hour down the road, oh, I'm hurt. They're like, oh crap, how do I put a bandage on you? Oh, my AGM isn't working anymore. Oh.
That was why we
that
do
happened
the
on
TTPs.
Saturday.
Yeah,
That
never
happened
had
on
the
Saturday.
medic because of that.
Now, I think you'll have to back me up on this. There was a lot of apprehension and criticism about the idea, because
I think there was
understandably,
open
The
resistance.
criticism was from you. You were like, oh, I don't want to make us too military by having training and things like that. And then we just made the most laid-back training course.
well, I got
that
a
we
lot
all
of different
enjoy.
messages passed.
Did you? Why?
Yeah.
What were people
Yeah.
saying?
People saying, "Are you sure this is gonna?" I mean, I like to think I'm pretty well liked here, but they weren't.
Yeah, you keep thinking that.
I will
There were-
frag you, Spanny.
Some of them were very polite. Some of them were very resistant. And you know what? That first session we did was terrible. I'm gonna admit that there.
Damn
But
that
then-
diversity.
Yeah. But moving on, I think we did the advanced rifleman. That went so well, and I think that might have been the.
That was a
Big
good
point.
one. That was a long one too. That was 2 hours.
That was a long one,
We
but
covered
That
a
was-
lot of stuff.
That wasn't 2
Covered a lot,
hours. That
and-
was 3 missions.
Yeah.
well, 2 missions, please.
So we did ambush, like close combat.
Yeah,
we
That's
did
what
heaps
it
of
it was
stuff.
immediately apparent the next attack they retained it. I'm like, well, this could actually be pretty good, and so we've stuck with it, and we've got a diverse range of topics in the armor scene, all the way from vehicles to flying to command, recon, weapon support, that kind of shit. So it's very apprehensive, and the way I built it, I'm going to throw in a buzzword here and say gamification.
That's a buzzword.
Because,
It is indeed.
well,
I'll tag
in my
that in the
line of
YouTube,
work
I
it
guess.
So the way I've set it up is, if I have these general specializations, which are broken up into individual roles,
You mind if I read a
like
couple up? I'm just getting the doc up right now. So what?
Well,
we got,
in support, we've got medical, repair, logistics, and artillery. Now, the way I've set it up, you could just get one cert from each, and they'll just say, okay, I know that you know what you're doing, so we won't have any more issues like that medic thing, or the, not knowing how to use the airburst thing.
And so everybody else enjoys the game a bit better. Because if you don't know how to do
Yep.
something and you're too shy to say anything about it, which most newer people are,
Hmm.
then it becomes like a problem later on.
And I will agree with what Spenny said earlier. Even from the first one, I think I was in the second group who did the first ETP of Basic Rifleman. You instantly started picking up stuff, and you started not even thinking about it. You just sort of fell into that's what you do in attack. And things have you can see the difference in the attacks nowadays, that we're a lot more fluid with a couple of things. Especially because we've done a lot of stuff with obviously inventory and moving as a group, that sort of stuff. We don't even have to think about spacings or what
Things like
as a group.
sectors and,
Well,
Yeah.
just 5 minutes ago, well, not 5 minutes, but just recently we did the arm attack. When I say arm attack, I mean heavy armor, as in shielding on tanks. But everybody's like, oh yeah, I know how to drive a tank because it's a tank, it just drives. But most people don't realize that, oh crap, like you can get out, you can use the guns on the tank, like external guns. And you don't realize how to actually range the turret. Everybody jumped in, like normally you hit tab to range, instead it's T to range, T for target.
Shift T.
Just simple stuff like that. If you're in attack and you got to think on your feet and you suddenly don't know how to range the tank, like what the hell are you going to do?
Yeah,
It's
European
more
strife.
just it just forces people. Force is a strong word, but you actually have to use it. You can't just say like, oh yeah, it can't be that hard. Like it's just you get familiar with what you're about to do or going to do.
Yeah, and one strong point, especially because this obviously sounds like you have to know how to use a tank before you can jump into a tank. Spanny made a point really early on, and it's worked really well. It doesn't, if you don't know the light AT role, for example, it doesn't stop you from being in that role. It just means that if someone who has done the training, who has put in the time, wants to do that role, they get the sort of first choice out of it.
It's like a priority, but nobody's got the guts. Or, I wouldn't say guts, but nobody's really going to say, hey, don't do that. Like, the only one I'd ever say is probably medic. If you haven't done medic, it'd be strongly advised, like, hey, you want to pick like a role that's a bit more fun and a bit less, intensive.
But it's basically medic, and it's things like pilot. We don't want someone like me, for example, who cannot fly for love nor money, going, hey, I want to be pilot. We kind of need them signed off so you don't just crash and burn everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And some of those roles, including medic, are very tedious roles because a lot of the time you're following around the section lead and just staring at him, going, "What do I do now?"
Yeah,
because
it is a boring role.
Like, you don't do anything until someone is actually hit, and if your teams are good, they don't get hit.
Yeah, nobody wants the medic to die, so the medic doesn't really get to do much. Like you'll be treating people, and very rarely you'll be treating people under fire, because normally the fire teams can manage their own casualties.
Well, if things go the way I've been planning now, with things actively going wrong, we'll see how long that lasts.
Well, that's why I like Ace's first responder. Because the first responder can be put on any soldier, it doesn't have to be like a class on its own.
I think that's something we should talk about for the next podcast.
Yes, Ace is going to be the next thing. But,
I think, it is a very interesting, and one of the things that actually medic, although it can be perceived as boring, when it all starts going wrong, when the solid excrement hits the rotary cooling device, then
I've got a video for this.
You're in the middle of it all, and if you don't know what you're doing, it's times of stress like that where it all falls apart. And that's why I think.
When we had the mission where we had to deliver the goat's cheese, and we had the 3 cars, like these going up the road.
That was the first one after the training.
I was the medic for that, and I was bloody in between the 3 cars because obviously I wasn't getting hit because I had a little bit of cover trying to drag people out of the driver's seats and stuff, pulling them back to the rear car, and all everybody else is doing is just laying down suppressing fire. I've got a video, it'll be in the description. A video for everything, but that was an amazing mission for medic. I think that's the most action I've ever had is playing medic.
But it's if you don't know what you're doing, that's where you start flapping about. And I think things like the FTL and the squad lead certs,
Spanny runs,
those are horrible things to do, because what happens is Spanny unhooks his really dark side, lets it come to the fore, and then what he does is he throws it at you while you try and keep a fire team alive.
Oh yeah,
everything goes wrong. Everything that can possibly go, even though you know that that's probably what he's going to do, and it's being able to keep a handle on things and not just end up flapping about and going,
Yeah, and we see it happen. Like sometimes people just go quiet.
I really love running the FTL cert, guys. I hope you know that.
I could see the stress in Hopster when he was playing the mission last.
He did really well, though.
He did really well.
Some people love the stress.
I enjoy doing it, but there are times, and I think the training has really helped because being an FTL and especially a squad lead, at the moment our group is only 1 squad big, so the squad lead
15 people
because we're not American, so we call them sections.
Okay,
so we can have a squad and a couple extra elements.
Yeah, so generally the section lead is the guy in charge of everyone who's playing that night, which can be a bit stressful at times. And the training helps because it gives you a lot of information that I didn't know before about leading and that sort of stuff. And also it helps if the FTLs have done the training as well. You can have that peace of mind that they've got at least the knowledge. A little bit of knowledge on you don't have to then babysit them, and then the FTLs micromanage. The same with the FTLs, they don't have to micromanage. Okay, Unit 1, you don't have to micromanage them so much. You can just go, okay, we're going here, and then the team, because they've been trained in what they're doing, just fall into place.
like, I got 2 points on that. Like, firstly, punt side, that was a big problem we had. Like, it turned into one person leading 48 instead of one person leading 4, and then 4 people leading their respective 12. And like getting that like working was an amazing thing, because when you got 48 people moving around how they should, because the 4 guys in charge are managing their 12 people. Like, obviously it translates to Armour a lot easier than it does to Planet side, because Armour's got the logistics for it. But it makes the game run a lot more smoothly when the guys, I guess your managers know what they're doing, and you can just sort of sit up the top and play it out. As well as how you brought up FTL. When I play medic, I seem to find myself, if a casualty appears, a patient requires assistance, I become an FTL around that patient.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of what the FTL is saying, like, my priority is to get the patient back up, so I kind of take charge over the FTL. I don't know what the order structure, the hierarchy is over that, but I find myself to, just take charge from there, and I haven't had anybody sort of speak against it.
I think that's fine, so long as you're not interfering with the overall plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, unless the FTL says, like, you're in danger, get out, which I'll listen to straight away.
I think most times, if the medic's involved in the area, the main concern is getting the unit up, or getting the person out of danger, getting them running again.
The FTL in there is, in charge of looking after the medic, and then the medic's in charge of looking after his patient, so they kind of go hand in hand, helping each other.
I think what we teach in the basic is, if someone does go down, we teach what to do. Hopefully they should already be doing that, what they're asking you before you even get there.
Yeah.
That's ideal, but that's not always going to happen.
What I also mean is, like, I'll just strip a player from, like, that fire team and say, look, you need to bandage this. And then that fire team gets the player down. Like, he doesn't get a choice, really. I'll just strip that player straight off him.
Yeah, but you'll find, actually, more recently with medics, or being a medic, although I haven't played the medic for a while, you'll find that teams are already, like, you'll already have people doing the triage ready to go for as soon as the medic gets there.
Yeah.
He almost the only thing he has to do is give him a couple of supplies and pop an epi in him to get him back up. Because the team with their training have sort of gone auto mode. Okay, this is how we get him up. Let's do it, and it's done.
Yeah.
But that's because the way that Spanny's done it. But I think the way that Spanny's put the training together, and I'm going to give him credit and say this was deliberate, is that it falls in line with my understanding of how the military sort of try to operate from my discussions with friends and family who've been in it. Is you need to know the job of the person above you and the person below you. It means that as you flow through basic, advanced, and then you can start looking at specialists like medic or go up to FTL, then SQL, you have to do it in such a way that the guy who's at the top knows what his people down below are doing, and they in turn probably know most of what the guy above has to do, and definitely everyone below them. And so you can start knocking sections of the group out now. So I know that if I get taken out as an FTL, 90% of the time, they can take care of themselves. I don't have to worry about them ever again.
So we even set up the logistics for that. So your radio won't always be accessible as an FTL. You might die in a spot where you're just in fire. That's why we've got the short channel, and somebody within that not squad, within that fire team will radio like the neighbouring fire team, and their FTL will take it from there because they have a better understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably another TTP that we could come up soon with, is the radio stuff.
Oh god, there's way too many already.
Speaking of radio, we got to talk about the radio operator.
Or the lack thereof, or the need of one.
Or when, yeah. But last thing I was saying about TTP is, like, it's basically getting us ready if we do get big numbers on TAC nights.
Yeah.
If we play with groups that are plus 40, and depending on the
groups
group,
plus 70.
yeah, and plus 70. We do some joint op nights, which are quite nice.
We do jump onto radio operator, though. We should quickly cover what the future of the Armour Sutra is going to be.
Yeah.
I honestly don't see it going in a direction where we need to dedicate one guy to be a radio op, because that's just one extra step that you need to take to inform.
I played radio op for SOCOM D, and then I became the golden child of SOCOM D.
Yeah, it's fun, right? But I mean, it just seems so inefficient. It's like Chinese whispers.
I don't want Chinese whispers.
That's a really racist game.
Hang on.
For a game.
It's a racist
people outside
game.
Australia.
Hang on.
I don't know what it's called over there.
Before we get to the radio stuff, I think we need to finish off TTP. My last thought is, if you're an Armour group listening to us, TTPs a really great way to bond with your group because there's no stress about enemies coming in because they're all one-sided, and generally if the TTPs are done well, they'll have a respawn script, so you can fuck around a little bit. They're a great way to get your guys to understand what certain roles do, what you're expected to do as a role, and they're just generally something that I think all armor groups would really benefit from.
I'll object to that actually. I don't think
Really?
TTP is for everyone.
Really?
No,
I think for some groups they can be perfectly fine without TTP. Sometimes they just want to fuck around and have fun. That was us before I started putting it in, and then we saw that it actually worked for us.
Okay, cool.
Alright, if you have questions about whether TTP is right for you, write in at borderlinerelevant@gmail.com, and I'm going to be happy to answer any questions you have about that. But it's not for everyone. Worth a try, but don't stress about it.
Yeah, argue it out in the comments.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Has anything else to say on TTP?
I just want to leave one note, in case someone actually reads them. Content-wise, I've taken pretty much sometimes ripped whole passages from Dyslexie's own Armor 3 guide, and my logic for that was, why fix what's not broke? The only thing I've really done is made it relevant for us and designed
don't
actual...
reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And designed, exercises and courses,
It's a stress
around
test.
it. That's pretty much the only hard part for it.
The hardest TTP for, not flying, for people who are illiterate when it comes to flying, no offense, Ursh, is the medic one, because it's a real stress test.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to see if you remember the knowledge, I'm looking to see if you can apply it.
Yeah.
A shout out to Dyslexie. He's got some great videos. Even if you're not looking at doing TDPs, check him out. His stuff in terms of what to do in armor, in terms of interacting and being as a group.
And due to
Priceless.
self-promotion reasons, his channel won't be in the description.
I think if you listen to this and you don't know dyslexia is, I think we might...
But we've got guests giving shout-outs. What is this?
Yeah.
Oh, come
place.
on.
Yeah, also, if you're
one of
from
my
another
favourites.
group and you want to have a chat, let us know. That'll be interesting later on.
Yeah.
What, are we going to do that whole military complex thing where other groups come in and they pay us money for us to train them?
Maybe. God, they sponsor us for a month in the
Pay
summer.
us,
I wouldn't object.
It's a lot of money.
Let's not talk about money. That gets ugly fast.
Yeah, that's
Right.
Tony's problem.
Radio up?
Yeah, radio ops.
I don't see it being necessary.
Well, when we played with SOCOM D, there were about 40 people on that night, and I played the radio op, and I had a great time doing it. I think it was a squad lead to 8 people, one of which was the radio op, so we had 3 radio ops, because I think there was 3 squads, and the radio ops could talk to the helicopters, which are going about. I think we had 2 transport helicopters, 1 attack helicopter, as well as platoon lead. So when you have 40 people, yeah, radio op sounds great because you don't want to be the squad lead having to listen to the comms going between the aircraft all the time. You'd rather have the radio op have to listen to all that because he knows the exact call signs of what's going on, whereas the squad lead needs to know the call signs of who's in his group. So big player base, great idea. Radio op is needed, from my opinion. Our player base, no, we're 15 people. We can talk between, like fire teams, we can talk between squads, even though we don't have more than one squad.
I don't. Well, you look at, again, to bring up Shack Tag, they don't use radio ops. What they have is, they're just a bit more disciplined when it comes to using the radios, and they have, they do sort of have a radio op, and that's the forward air control. That's how they separate those kinds of
that's
elements.
how I would
An
be
air
going.
controller is a radio op, though.
Yeah, but that's probably about the only one I can see us needing, even at those numbers.
Yeah, because aircraft need to talk to each other for, positioning when doing fire missions and stuff like that.
So instead
And
of
if-
channel 1 frequency 50, or for everyone, it's channel 1 frequency 50 and channel 2 frequency 55. Easy.
Oh, one sec, my computer just went to sleep. I think the recording's still good. Yeah, keep going.
All good.
Yeah. I think like radio op is not something we need to look at anytime soon. I do remember early on we did have radio ops for a little bit when our group was, I think we were running teams of 6 at that time when we had about 12 regulars.
Unless we have dedicated air support, and
Yeah.
I'm talking like two entities in the air, we're not going to need a radio up because it's the air entities that need a separate long-range radio channel.
Can I give you an anecdote? This happened really recently. This was the mission we had to escort the Shilka that went terribly wrong.
Yes.
Oh god.
So Rick had to be an FTL, but he couldn't get his long range to work, so I had to take over. I had to be his radio op. Now he, short of orders, had no idea what was going on. He didn't know where any groups were. He didn't know the position of anything else because he couldn't listen to that. If I was in the section and I didn't know where everyone was, just by asking, I didn't have that at my fingertips, I would fucking have a control freak meltdown. As a section or FTL, you need to know that stuff. That's why I'm against a radio op.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there, and that comes down to that comes down to what's the word? Your play style. You like having that information at your fingertips right there. You
might get burnt out.
Yeah, I on the other hand, I don't mind having it all in my ear, but it can get from an SL point of view, section lead point of view. I have I'm usually on a radio channel of my own with one or two people, depending if I've got a medic or someone else attached to me. Then I've got two fire teams usually. For example, the last stack we had two fire teams, we had a logistics chopper, and myself, all on the long range channel, which is our communication between groups. That can get really busy really quickly, and then if you've got someone squawking over short range at you, and then someone trying to talk to you in your face, face to face, you can't hear anything because you've got so many voices in your head. You're trying to pick out information from all of them. It can get really overwhelming really quickly.
See, I'm immune from that because I had PlanetSide where I had 8 radio channels all at once.
Can I put this forward, Hop?
Yeah.
So we have the rifleman radios. That's a degree of separation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got like the FTL radios and section radios.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got the long range radios. I think we can very easily put gates between those. So rifleman can only talk to rifleman and the fire team lead. FTL can only talk to section and his team, and section can only talk to platoon and his fire team, rather than everyone.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a better way of doing things.
A quick question. Do you guys use left and right ear?
Yes. That is invaluable.
I use left and right ear, and I also have alternate frequencies, so I know who's in my team.
Yeah. See, I haven't learned how to do that, so unless it's a TTP, I'm just running with how I've normally done it.
Yep.
As I mentioned, I'm immune to like loads of radio chatter. When I did the test for this video, all 4 of you guys were speaking at the same time, and I could pick out all 4 of your voices and listen to exactly what you guys were saying, and it was gibberish.
It does come down to personality.
It was literal gibberish though.
It comes down to personality, practice, and your capacity. There's a video many months old now of me as an FTL listening to my group chatter to me on the short range, and I've got everything coming in through the long range as well. And Stone put a comment in the post saying, "I can't believe how patient you were. I didn't realise all that was going on in your head whilst you were trying to command us."
And that's sorry.
It sounds like Stone actually.
Yeah.
Is that exactly what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just what you have to do, I think, if that's the case, and you just have to find the best way of doing that. For me, that's left ear, right ear, and I can filter across. If I know who's in my group and I know everyone well enough, I can recognize voices. I can have that alternate channel, so I can listen in on the second fire team anyway to know what's going on, even if they're not feeding me stuff over the long range.
Yeah. And that's good. Like, I can handle what we're getting at the moment. What I was saying more, and to bring back Spanny's point of having everything gated, that was the gated thing. That was my own short range with the medic. That was each of the FTLs on that one channel, because obviously they've got to talk to me, and then having the logistics chopper on that long range as well. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different voices I've got going on at one time. Now Paz can handle that. I don't do too badly, I don't think of that at one time. But if we get much bigger, I think not necessarily a radio operator, but getting those radio communications down to a better tuned system would probably be something we need to look at.
I guess it would be the fire controller, because that'd separate all vehicles from you.
Yeah, because if you look at an FTL at the moment, the FTL, so your fire, not your section leader, but your fire team leader, he hears the section leader, every other fire team, and all the vehicle controllers at the same time.
Not every other fire team, but if something goes down bad.
Oh no,
or
you're
are you
still
talking about his long range?
over his long range.
Yeah.
This is all on this is all on that one long range radio channel, which is for us channel 150.
Really, you're just aiming to cut down redundant information, or like put the redundant information onto one person who doesn't have a role apart from just listening to redundant information.
So I think it's something we as a group can definitely look at in the future. But I think before we look at a radio operator, having a TTP that goes through.
We'll grow with it.
Yeah, we'll definitely grow with it, and we'll find what works for us. Yeah.
It's more that we'll know when it's not working, and we'll design a way to fix it up.
Yeah. When Spanny runs out of other TTPs to write, then we'll do that one.
What is?
God forbid.
I wanted to ask, speaking about TTP, what is Platoon HQ?
HQ or Platoon? Platoon is just, well...
It's just bigger numbers, or?
Yeah. Platoon is, I think it's 3 sections or 3 squads.
Well, it's 3 to 8. I think it's 2 to 8. I'm not
and
sure.
The way I just said HQ is just another way of referring to head of platoon.
Oh, okay.
Headquarters. That's the way I thought of it.
So nobody's getting that TTP for a long time.
Not for a while.
For a long time.
Or next week, if everybody loves this podcast.
Yep, going down. A lot of TTPs to
going up.
Yeah, I think the HQ and the platoon stuff is literally a guy just going to be staring at his map the whole time going, yep, you guys go there,
well, that's
you
how I
guys go
played
there.
Planet Slide, because I was on a dual core and couldn't run the game, so it was just a radio op pretty much.
Yeah. No, radios are something... I think we're getting to the point where I personally feel that the group would probably benefit from having a look at it. Not necessarily restructure or anything, but having a look and having a think about how we're using the radios at the moment.
While we're on the topic of radios, when we bring in ACE, or if we bring in ACE, which we will, what about Acre 2? Like, Task Force radio works excellent, so I don't think we'd ever want to change from it. But what's Acre 2? Because I know you guys have played with Acre, because you played ACE before, like on Arma 2. Was it better, or?
It was serviceable. It had an interesting system in that you could just have the radios in your inventory and toggle between them, or I may be remembering it wrong. You could set different frequencies on each one, or that was the Plebby way how I did it.
You can do that in Task Force Radio as well.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But
I think they're basically the same system. They have minor differences and different tweaks in terms of what little things they have. Like, I think Acre 2, the new one that just brought out, has a feature where you connect. It's called Babel. So if you pick up an enemy's radio, even though you listen to their frequency, you can't actually understand what they're saying because they're in a different language. And you can actually set someone to be a translator. So Russian version versus American. You're going to hear Babel if you're an American listening on the Russian side, sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They've got those sort of things, but in terms of usability and functionality, almost exactly the same. Like, even the key presses are the same, I found.
Oh, yeah, I suppose it would be. It's a key.
I also think in a spectator mode, you can actually hear what they're saying, because in TFR at the moment we can't.
Yeah.
So you could zoom in on some dude having a chat. Like, while Sneaky was dead, he could have watched you and Aphex Paz talk about his nose job, if you wanted.
Actually, yeah, you could, I think, going back to dyslexia again, I think they're using ACE at the moment, their group. And
almost all groups are.
I'm
not sure
or Acre,
still with AGM.
Sorry, Acre. I'm not talking ACE.
Oh,
Acre. Because when he dies in his missions a lot, but he then films the rest of it and does a cinematic thing. You can hear what the actual guys are saying, not what's happening in his chat room where everyone else is. So...
One of the things I did like was when me and Aphex spooled up one of the helicopters, RHS includes automatically just some ambient radio chatter, which I thought was brilliant. I mean, I love somebody talking in the background. That's one of the things that I can handle.
Yeah,
it makes it feel a bit nicer.
that is nicer.
It is nice.
And for a smaller group, that works. I think if we were a much bigger group, say 40 people, we'd already have that chatter.
Well, I think before we get too carried away with the intricacies of various radio mods, what we'll do is we'll just go through the news relevant to BTAC. So Spanny has let us know that there's going to be some user-friendly, readable versions of the Armor Sutra that he's going to make available, rather than just the...
I may also release the maps for them, if anyone's that interested.
And we've got some trial maps potentially coming out with combined TTP facilities, in inverted commas, that may come out at the same time. And I believe you wanted people to schedule any requests for missing TTPs.
Like an off-schedule one.
Yes.
Just so you can start playing the roles you want to play.
For those of us who haven't managed to make it to every single one, I think you three
Yes.
have all of them.
May the South rise again.
Well, we have
abolish the abolishment of slave labor.
Oh, get over it. I think Spenny, myself, and Paz all have the...
We're weapon specialists.
Weapon specialists. So we have the very first cert set, which is...
we get
and the reason
priority.
Paz was making those South Rise Again jokes is that on my screen it looks like a Confederate flag, rather than two guns crossing.
Because Spanny made the colour in the TTP red, and the infantry NATO symbol for infantry team is an X.
Y'all, I don't see the problem with this.
You're a British church.
Hey, Apple has said it's okay as long as it's not on like the little icon that you see on your app, because they don't want little kiddies seeing it.
What?
But that's a totally different thing.
What do you
It was good enough for the Dukes of Hazzard. It's good enough for us.
Yeah.
So I think there's no other real news, is there?
TTPs are on Thursday. Just remember that too.
Yes.
Thursday nights at 8 p.m. we have TTP. Sometimes if something else pops up, we do that. I remember we were going to do a TTP, but it ended up being a TVT with ACOP, which is amazing fun. So contact Spanny if you're another armor group and you want to do something. Thursdays is usually pretty good for us.
Contact him twice, just in case the first one you don't think reached him.
Yeah.
Go
on, Ash.
No, go first.
If you want to talk to us or send in letters, emails,
Just join the TeamSpeak.
join the TeamSpeak, or you can send an email to borderlinerelevant@gmail.com. There'll be a link in the description.
Is relevant spelt correctly?
Let's hope so.
I spelled that wrong twice. I put 3 E's in it, and then I put 2 E's in it. Something like that.
More E's are good, apparently.
Yeah. Or if you jump on the Armor server, I don't want to hand out TeamSpeak details over YouTube, so either play Armor and the mission running on our server, filter Borderline, will have TeamSpeak details in a big billboard, or actually go on the website. I'm not going to let YouTubers just go nuts over the TeamSpeak.
Yep. And you'll be able to find links to the BTAC
videos that were mentioned.
Yep. Oh. And Paz's channel and mine down below, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And next time on Borderline Relevant, I think we're going to do something which will make Paz go squee, which is talk about
Oh
Ace.
God, no! You didn't just say that, did you?
Yes.
He said squee.
Squee.
What's that mean?
It's like
It's like you're excited, but really effeminately.
I'm not excited about Ace. I never played the old Ace. I like
just
AGM.
Google squee. Ace is the next big thing though. It takes, because AGM, that other medical system, and the guys from
Ace
Ace1.
Jets.
You're not getting the goddamn jet. That's for next time.
But we'll talk about your jet allowance next time.
We're getting a
Borderline
jet.
Relevant.
It's
I
not
need to
a
prove to
big
me you
mod.
can take care of an imaginary jet before I give you a real one.
We'll get an egg and we'll stick some wings on it, and if it survives a week, you can have a jet.
This is bullshit.
Not a democracy. Right.
Anyway.
Be good to each other. Thank you very much.
Alright,
Yeah.
that's our wrap up. Cut
See you
that
guys.
there.